All right, well, Rob gave us an assignment to talk about any kind of frustrations that we have with our particular role in the band. And me being a lead vocalist, I have a few things that, I'd like to work on, or some frustrations that I need to work out. Very first thing is in my monitor, I need to really get the right mix in my monitor. At times I just settle for something and I find myself not being able to hear properly, and I end up shouting or over singing, which is not good for my voice, and by the third set I'm about done. So there have been some times when I've had some really good mixes and I heard things very well and it turned out to be so much better. So I need to improve my mix in the monitor. Another thing is time. I love writing lyrics, so the Faith, Family, Friends, and Freedom album was just an amazing endeavor where the songs that I had written, we collaborated, put together some great music, and it turned out to be a wonderful, piece of music. The thing that I'm missing now is I'm trying to find the time so I could write more lyrics for our newest album. And yeah, so I just need to devote more time because I truly love writing. I love writing more than performing. And that is something we need to do. Finally, when it comes to personal space, I think I need to acclimate the guys more so into personal space. Like as Adam said, he's not used to having somebody in his face when he opens his eyes after he's done soloing, and then there I am looking at him like, dude, that was amazing. So I have to acclimate the guys into what personal space or lack of personal space is, and hopefully they'll all come around. Since we are all family, we're all good friends, and really personal space is something that should be non-existent. So all right guys, take care.
After years. Hey, I'm Sean, one of the guitarists from the 412 district. And one thing I'd have to say that I don't like about being a guitarist, I mean, obviously 99.9% of the time I love being a guitarist because aside from the lead singer, the main focus is on the guitarist. But some things I don't like is I'm always searching for that perfect guitar tone. And I don't know if I've quite made it yet, and I don't think I ever will. Sometimes when I'm messing around with my tone, whether it be on modeling or through an amp, sometimes I think I have it just right, and then I'll go play with somebody else or jam with someone else, and they just have this killer tone. I'm like, why can't I do that? So that's something I don't like, that I'm always in pursuit of the perfect tone. Another thing I don't like about being a guitarist is sometimes the instrument can be kind of finicky and can be a little delicate, meaning sometimes we'll deal with broken strings. You have to get new frets, fret levels. The guitar is a very precise instrument, so so you have to everything has to be working in order perfectly for it to cooperate with you and sound correctly. So that could be sometimes a hindrance that we deal with. One last thing I don't like about being a guitarist is, basically when you're in a cover band, especially in modern day cover bands, the guitar is typically the driving instrument that has all the noticeable and recognizable riffs or sounds that it makes that most people can relate to. It's like, oh, I know that song. Like, for example, when you play Sweet Child of Mine, no one's going to pick up that song from the bass or drums. No offense, John or Rob, but no one's going to pick up that song from those instruments. But in the guitar, you can. So I feel if you make a mistake on guitar while you're playing live, it is much more noticeable than other instruments. For example, if you're on bass, as long as you're in the right scale and you hit a wrong note, it might not sound correct, but it's not going to sound all that bad if you're in a correct scale of what you're playing. Same thing with drums. As long as you're keeping the right tempo, if you hit the crash instead of the ride cymbal, or maybe you hit the floor tom instead of one of the other toms, it's not going to sound all that bad and mess with the listener all too much. But if you hit the wrong note on guitar, even if it's in the same scale of the song, it's usually pretty distinguishable right away. People are like, wait, that's not right. So that's one thing that bothers me about playing guitar.
myself. I'm back here on this bus.
I still hate country music.
So we were asked in the group, what is the thing that we like least about being our position? I'm a guitar player, so there's so much that I love about the guitar. I love the fact that you have to earn everything that you do in the guitar, which is kind of counterproductive to the person that I thought that I always was, more of a laid back, it'll come to me. But the truth is that nothing comes to you at guitar. You actually have to process it. You have to earn it. You have to process it. And if I have to be honest, what I like least about guitar I guess I have to think about this. When I want something done, I typically want it done immediately. I want it done now, and I want it to be done properly, the right way, the first time. You don't get that with guitar. You have to practice it. You have to slow it down. You have to get completely familiar with it mentally, and then you have to forget about it mentally and just let the fingers do the work. And sometimes you'll be playing a part that's so fast that if you were to try and tell your fingers what to do, they're not going to do it. You just have to let them do it. Now, you can't do that when you're learning new techniques. So say if there is a blues riff, right? And you're going back and forth between the major and the minor pentatonic scale, and you have to hit a certain segment of notes, right? Well, you can't improvise that in front of everybody and sound like a goober. You actually have to practice that. You have to integrate that with the way that you play, and you have to learn it, and you have to be comfortable with it, so that way when it comes time to play it, it sounds right. So there's nothing that can be handed down, if you will, or come easy at guitar. The only thing that can come easy to guitar is picking it up and putting it down, right? The actual things that you're doing, that's the hard part about guitar. That's what I wish would be a little bit easier, is just the intake of it. Oh, you know what? I feel like playing classical. Well, I can do it this way and be done with it. Or I feel like playing jazz, or I feel like playing some Latin reggae feels. Whatever you want, you actually have to learn it. You can't just pick it up and do it. And if you can, that's great, but how really good are you at it? Because we can pick up something and say, oh, I'm good at it, I can start doing it like this. Yeah, you can kind of get a rhythm going down, but when you're playing the leads, are you actually being authentic to that style of music? If you didn't study it, you're probably not, because guitar is not easy. That's why people's fingers bleed when they practice. So that is what I like least about guitar, is that you actually have to put the time into it. But I love playing it, so putting time into it's really a bonus anyway.
Okay, so as you've been hearing all the guys talking about our little video diary experience, and they're all blaming me for having asked the question, but I thought it would be interesting, and I have some feelings on it as well. I'm the drummer, and I've been playing drums since I was 9, I think 8 or 9 years old, and I love them. I play other instruments, but absolutely the drums are my favorite. The drum set specifically is my favorite. But there could be some challenges when dealing with playing a drum set. Nothing musically speaking necessarily. I mean, I love playing, I love practicing, I love doing all that kind of stuff. So, being on the drums and playing the drums are wonderful. probably there's two things that I can't stand about it. One is the fact the darn things are heavy and they take forever to set up. I'm always the first one that has to start setting up and the last one finishing setting up, because there's a lot to it. And they're heavy. So, I mean, in a future life, I'm pretty sure I'm going to play a piccolo or something, put it in my back pocket and move along. Either that or make it rich and famous so that when I get to the venue, my drum set's always set up. All I have to do is bring a couple sticks, go out there, play, leave. They'll bring it all back home with them. That'd be the perfect life. The second thing that I find really annoying when it comes to being the drummer is, when you think about the setup of a band, the drummer's always in the back. So I'm constantly staring at 4 butts in front of me. I've got John's butt to my left, then Adam, then Kevin, then Sean. So constantly, all I'm staring at through an entire show are 4 rear ends. So while those guys get to enjoy looking at the audience and interacting with the audience, I'm staring at 4 butts. So that's the life of the drummer. It's what I chose, so I guess I gotta live with it. I would never have it any other way. I love being a drummer.
Gets inside you, you find it tough to breathe. You're looking for